Okay. Good evening, everybody. This is Lady Rage on Gameless Geek Radio. Tonight, my co-host is Joey.
Hello.
And can you go ahead and introduce yourself now, hon?
Absolutely. My name's Mark, DJ named Militia, with a DJ crew Noisy Dubs out of Raleigh. Is there any other information you wanted?
No, we can go ahead and start asking questions.
Okay.
All right. And we also have two other DJs, but they're having technical difficulties, so we'll get back to them. So, Mark, when did you start your music career?
Let's see. I think that's probably all the way back in 7th, 8th grade. I picked up guitar, played guitar all the way through college, and then just sort of the whole music scene for that and me sort of died off because everybody was picking up playing guitar and being in little like side garage bands. So a couple friends of mine in Greenville when I was in college there were like, hey, why don't you start doing this? We know you're really good with rhythm. So that's when I started DJing. And that was probably a couple of years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago. And I've been doing that ever since.
2.5 years of DJing. You said you started off in 7th, 8th grade with the guitar. Why the guitar?
Growing up, I'm not so much a Southerner or somebody from here per se. When I was a kid, I was living in Pennsylvania. Parents moved us down to North Carolina just because of the job, and by that time, I was 8, 9.
Hello?
Hello, Brendan.
Hi.
Oh gosh, that was a lot harder than it needed to be.
It's fine. Better late than never, I always say.
You guys are cramping my style right now, by the way.
I didn't mean to do that, Mark. I am so sorry.
Sorry, everybody. We were having
Let Mark talk.
All right, so yeah, by that time I was like 9. Parents moved down here, and my dad was a really big classic rock fan. My mom listened to a lot of like alternative rock and a lot of pop stuff. So that being my background, when I started having my own decision in what I wanted to listen to music, it was just, I leaned more toward classic rock. And then classic rock turned into metal, and Metallica became like my favorite band. So the only way I could be more of a fan with it is to learn how to play their music. And that's sort of why I picked up guitar.
Interesting. All right. Let Brendan and CJ introduce themselves now, because they're here.
Alright, sorry about that. Hi, I'm CJ. I also go by the DJ name of Subdominal. And this right here.
Hey, I'm Brendan Bellamy, and I go by DJ Defiance.
And, yeah.
Sorry about that.
Sorry about the late arrival, everybody.
Nerds.
It's so cool. Time's running, though. All right, let's go back to the first question to ask you two guys, and that's how we'll do it. We'll go from Mark to CJ to Brendan with each question. All right? I think that's a good idea.
Sounds great.
All right, so CJ, when did you start your music career?
Geez. Well, I kind of started out just learning a little bit about production when I was around 16. Back in the day, I kind of was just big on doing like hip-hop music because naturally it was the cool thing to do in high school to make hip-hop beats for artists. Of course, I wasn't that good. I started out just making just really kind of lame stuff, and eventually I kind of got into the whole DJ thing. Mind you, I didn't even know how to DJ. I didn't even have any equipment. But I kind of dropped it and came back to it a little bit later after I had a little bit later in my life, and started working on doing a little bit more into like the electronic scene. At first I wanted to DJ, and then at one moment I wanted to produce, and I kind of was like, I'd rather do both. And then I met Mark, and Mark had shown me that, around where I'm from, there are many DJs who are doing it, and really great ones, matter of fact, some that are just mind-blowing. And from there, I kind of got more deeper into the whole DJ scene, and started to master a little bit of my production, and I expanded a bit and expanded to get more deeper into it. And yeah, and I guess that's where the story kind of takes a footnote.
All right, and you, Brendan, when did your music career start?
Um, that's actually a really good question. My career started when I was around 14. I was actually I really had a deep passion for music, and I've always wanted to, do like the whole DJ thing, but I didn't have the necessary things around me. So I kind of just gave up, and I was like, oh, that really stinks. I can't really do anything about it. And so as time went by, I started learning like, different types of music that were out there because I was only listening to hip hop, R&B, and that was pretty much it. And I was like, okay. And then I hit high school, and then someone actually introduced me to, actually it was middle school. Someone introduced me to Linkin Park, and I was like, what is this? I'm not into this type of stuff. They were like, no, just listen to it. I promise you'll love it. And I was like, okay. And so when I heard it, I believe it was Hybrid Theory was the first thing that I listened to, and I enjoyed every single moment of that album. That's probably one of my favorite albums of all time, actually. And so I was like, okay, so there's more music out there. Why not just check it out? And so that's when I started getting to the rock scene, and I was like, okay, I kind of like this. And then I started noticing, and then I started shifting over to Daft Punk, and I was like, okay, that's sort of the electronic scene. And I was like, okay, well, and they do mixes and everything. I was like, oh, that's pretty nice. And then so I got that like fueled the fire for me to actually get back into it. But I didn't know anybody like around me and in my area that did it. And so CJ, I actually worked with him before, and he was like, yeah, so there's this guy named Mark, and he's a great DJ. You need to hear him. So I went out, and that's where my story ends. And then everything just came full circle after that.
Nice. Like you said, you had a passion for music, like forever. Well, what did you all, what got you into music, all you guys?
Did you want to start with me?
Yeah, we're gonna start with you. Question.
Okay, cool. So, honestly, my passion for music is probably rooted in just expression. There aren't too many outlets where stress and built up, frustrations with things are, easily accepted in, I guess, public or society. So the angrier music that I listen to, it's a way for me to sort of vent, and it just became part of my life. So when I said I made that switch from like classic rock over to metal, it didn't stop at Metallica. There was Pantera. That's not even the heaviest. I'm drawing blanks right now. It's been so long since I've listened to that. But like the heavier stuff that I've got in my mix right now, it's just it's a way for me to outlet some of my frustrations and stress. And working retail doesn't help.
I've heard. All right.
I guess my turn.
Yeah.
Geez. Really, music's been, for me, kind of in the same way as Mark, has been a form of expression. I kind of started out just really enjoying, just kind of the bare basics. I remember sitting in the car with my mom and my dad and just listening to a lot of jazz and a lot of R&B, and that really kind of opened me up to just a few things. But I never really kind of enjoyed music until I started to expand outwards to stuff like the Gorillaz, and then I got into Linkin Park, Rage Against the Machine, System of a Down, Deftones. Then I went backwards with hip hop and went from like Run DMC, and of course the current '90s stuff like DMX and all that other type of stuff. But really, as far as music's been, it's always kind of been a thing for me to express myself and be very open and kind of just tell a story. So whenever I really go into sort of just making or DJing, I try to really kind of essence that feel of just a form of expressionism. that is a bit, I guess, it's kind of not really, so in your face like drawing or something of a sort, but it's definitely something that will awaken some sort of emotional response, and that's what I really kind of appreciate about it, and that's what drives me to be very passionate about it, to be able to kind of find a new way to express myself.
All right.
So pretty much these two have pretty much summed it up.
Yeah.
So like honestly, like they both nailed it right on the head. Like I just have a really have a feel for music, like emotionally, like especially working retail. That's not a good thing. It definitely helps whenever like I play like the heavier stuff, and I know there was some melodic stuff that CJ plays and stuff too that I play as well. That is just it actually gives me a good feeling, and I like to give that back to other people and let them know how I feel about the music.
All right. I heard you both mention Mark, so I'm guessing like Mark is the one who brought you all together.
Yes, yeah. He is the pin. He is he's the.
So Mark, you're like their messiah, basically.
I
would say
we're
respectfully.
trying to leave religion out of it.
Yeah, I would say respectfully, Mark has definitely been. He's. And I'm just going to go ahead and be over the top with this. Mark is an awesome guy, and if anything, he came to us when we were looking for an opportunity in this. And out of all things, me and Brennan are extremely thankful for Mark, because he taught us. He's probably out of all of us the most experienced. So, yeah, definitely Mark. He's our bro.
Love you.
We love you.
All right, they love you, Mark.
I hear that a lot.
That's a good thing, though. All right, so what about your first gig, Mark?
Oh man, my first gig. So the guys in the two guys in Greenville when I was in college that got me into this, Will and John, and a lot of the Noisy crew, they just sort of piqued my interest in it, and I just watched and learned and did what I could, and I didn't have a whole lot of time hanging out with them, but I just sort of went with it. He told me what to do, and I just practiced. And it was out of nowhere. There was Noisy Dubs was backing a show in Greenville called Dub Sessions, and they had a goof up on the lineup one Thursday night. So they contacted me because they knew I was getting started, and they went, "So you're playing this Thursday? Be ready." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I just pushed and practiced, and I got there Thursday night, and I was expecting an opener slot, as most new DJs would get, just to try to warm up a crowd, not play too hype stuff, but just sort of ease the crowd into it. And that gets me on a different topic of locations and playing versus like venue and club scene and like college towns. So college towns expect different stuff, but that's a whole different topic altogether. But I get there that Thursday night, and he goes, "So we're not having you open. We're gonna have you play the headline slot, Trial by Fire," and then just like screams, and it just screams in excitement and like jumps around like a monkey because he's amazing and awesome. And I'm like, I don't, what just happened? So 12 o'clock came up, and I just went with it. Apparently I did really well. They really liked me, and that was my first gig. I was super nervous the whole time, though, but I just, you get in that position where it's do or bust, and I just somehow find a way to do.
Nice. That's a lucky event, honestly.
Yeah, it was.
All right, CJ, how about you, man? What's your first gig?
Well, geez, that is the key question. My first real technical gig is not really a full gig. I would say it was just well, I had a friend who kind of had a little of a house party, and it was kind of midway through my training with Mark. And mind you, at the time, I had not really fully experienced the whole aspects of making or DJing in a full area, but it was a small house party that they were having, and I decided to, just go show up there and kind of show off a bit. And mind you, of course, I had to use the small methods, such as using the ever-hated sync button of DJs. Mind you, pretty much Mark had already taught me never to use it. It's kind of like using the dark side of the force. You just don't do it. You got to actually do it the right way. So I did that, and needless to say, I kept the crowd. It was pretty good. But mind you, it was only 5 to 10 people. It wasn't really so big. But that was sort of my first gig. But I would say officially my first gig was, strangely enough, the gig over at Animazement, which wasn't really fully a gig. It was just kind of a thing we threw. And I got to say that right there was possibly the most... It was probably one of the best times I've had in a while, especially because it was my first time really getting a chance to play out to a big crowd rather than, just in the room or in front of a couple friends or so. So it was wild, needless to say. I don't want to get too far deep into it, but as of recently, yes, that would be kind of my first gig.
Nice. How about you, Brendan? What's your first gig?
For me, I was invited to Burn with Mark, and he was like, "Hey, you can come out and DJ too." I was like, "Okay," and literally, like, I was super duper nervous. I didn't know what to expect. It was it was a pretty good amount of people there. I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I'm getting nervous, but I'm sure I was gonna get it. But that was honestly my first gig. But if you want to be technical with it, my first gig was at a club called Rum Runners. I opened up for DJ 40 Ounce, and he's a really great guy. And too bad everybody was gone that particular weekend. But I mean, I still had a great time doing it. But that's technically my first gig.
Well, at least you had a great time doing it, right?
Of course.
Yeah. All right. So you guys, one of you said about Animazement. All right. Have you guys ever played at any other cons?
So when I started the whole DJing thing, I would just want to play anywhere and everywhere that I possibly could. I went up to, I think it was in the first year that I was doing this a couple of years back. I went to MagFest. I think it was 9. Yeah, I think it was MagFest 9. And I just had my laptop with me and was just playing music, just walking around with my laptop blaring. And turns out the 24/7 game room had a booth that had like some pretty nice speakers set up, and they were like, "Hey, so it's 4:30 in the morning, nobody's in here. We're just gonna goof off and do whatever with music." And I'm like, "You guys mind if I plug in?" And I played for like an hour, just a whole bunch of like chiptune stuff, 8-bit video game related stuff, and probably ended up pulling about 20 or 30 people into the game room just in front of that booth, and they were all just having a good time. Granted, it was 4:30, 5 o'clock, so fatigue starts setting in, mind's in a different place, you just start having fun for no reason. And then before this past AZ was the year before. So we just sort of brought out a couple of speakers. I brought my decks and a mixer out, and I just played for hours, probably about 6-7 hours. And those are the 2 cons I've played prior. Oh, and a Logicon and Carry. The God, I forgot what it was. They asked me to set up sound and be sort of a DJ for a couple of like talent acts that were going on, and they already had songs on a CD. They just needed good sound in it to be played. And after the talent event, they were just like, have at it, have fun. So I played for about an hour before they were like, hey, so you're a little loud. I'm like, fine, I'll turn it off. But it's a con, so you gotta abide by rules.
Yeah, that's true. How about you, CJ?
Well, to be honest, the Animazement's literally been, and I speak for, I guess, both me and Brennan on this one,
Yup.
is our first ever con DJing at. And out of anything, I would say that Animazement was kind of it was kind of something that I already had kind of envisioned, but I never really wanted to go forward with until Mark had gone up, and basically it was one of those kind of ideas of the spur of the moment. Hey, I've always wanted to DJ at this con. It's been something I've been going to for years because I'm huge in the anime, and I think what really kind of spurred the whole thing was Mark just kind of coming through one day and just saying, yeah, okay, let's do it. Of course, for my angle and view, it was kind of that moment of, wait, what? Are you serious? Whoa. But he brought his stuff, brought the sound, and performed, I think, last year. And it turned out to be a great blast. We had a good crowd. And so that inspired me and Brennan to actually do it much bigger, of course, this year.
All right. And how about you, Brendan?
Yep. I mean, pretty much just like CJ said. That was literally my first like con that I ever played at. Again, probably what CJ said also was a year before Mark played at Animazement, and he had a huge crowd, and literally we just wanted to blow that particular crowd out the water for the second time that we come out there. So, I mean, that's how it is. I mean, that was my first gig, well, my first con playing out there.
All right. Can you guys describe how you felt when you're playing at Animazement?
Honestly, I mean, I've been doing this for a while, so sort of trying to build up a crowd and being in front of a whole bunch of people, it's something I've sort of gotten used to. However, Animazement is a different crowd. It's definitely a different type of people that are there. They're not, the usual rave goers that go out like weekly to clubs downtown Raleigh or elsewhere that really just go for music and to dance. There are a lot of people there that are pretty specific about what they listen to. Some of them really like chip tunes. Some of them really like anything video game related. So what I basically did, I just tried to have a little bit of everything to appeal to everyone, and we just sort of got everything started and we just rolled with it. It felt really good, honestly. We didn't have that many people at the very beginning. We did a sound test, and we had people from across. I don't even know what you would call that area. I guess it's not a foyer, like a little outside area, but from across from where we were set up, they like screamed when we sound tested. So I was sort of hoping for the same reaction once we got a little bit further into it, and turns out we got exactly what I was hoping for.
Great. Can you guys describe how you guys felt?
Geez, that it's truly it was truly an interesting feeling, because coming from my perspective of really not having to perform in, unlike Mark, which who has a little bit more experience, it felt like a new surprise. Like if you were to ever, if I'm not sure if you're maybe a Zelda fan, but if you've ever played Zelda like any sort of time, and you've gone to like that new dungeon, you just figured it out yourself, and you get that elated, oh wow, I can't believe this is happening. I finally am pulling out the Master Sword for the first time. Holy crud, he turns into an adult. That's almost the same feeling I got, if not 2 times to 10 times more, of going to AZ and actually performing. It was spectacular because I've actually had a crowd to play to that seemed to really enjoy it. I really got to show a little bit of my skills and with my friends, which was incredible. And the moments leading up to, I had been incredibly nervous, which I'm kind of a natural spaz about things. I had been practicing and planning and down like purchasing like a bunch of different tracks throughout the year that I wanted to really play there. And the whole way through, it felt like the whole way through it felt kind of nerve-wracking because it's your first big one. And really, as it was just going on and seeing the responses from all the con goers, which I really loved because it felt like I was really giving back to that con that I'd really loved so much. It was truly a serendipity type of feeling, just amazing to really experience.
Nice. And how about you, Brendan?
All I can really say is I've been to that con for 3 years, and just giving back and just letting, like, showing that passion for music that I have and giving it back to them, and them just going crazy for it. It was honestly one of the most best experiences. I still can't describe how good it was. Like I said, I felt like I was literally on top of the world when I just saw everybody just jump in and dancing and having a good time. I'm looking over at CJ and Mark, and I'm like, is this really happening right now? And it's just, like I said, it was an amazing experience.
And I'd like to jump in just for a minute, if I may.
Sure.
Animazement this year, and for the first time, I was actually at the outside rave. Excuse me, and I was over by the road waiting for my ride home when you guys set up and started playing. And I want to let you know that you guys are amazing, absolutely beyond amazing.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. Wow.
Oh, you're welcome. For you to catch a 48-year-old's attention and pull her away from the road up to your guys' DJ booth, it takes a lot. And you guys did it.
Well, I'm really glad that we were able to do something like that. That feels good hearing.
That is what I go for from ever since starting. I always like to hear and make sure that everybody's having a good time. That's the aim, really.
I did enjoy it, and my favorite part of watching you guys was this girl who literally put her elbows on your booth and her head on her hands and was just staring up at you guys, just smiling. That, I loved watching the audience respond to you like that.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. I mean, as far as it's one of those things when you start actually. Maybe for Mark, may be a bit different. I'm pretty sure Brennan, but for me personally, it's the reaction I get from the crowd that kind of lets me know if I'm really, doing a good job or so. And generally, if I can make sure that you're having a really good night, regardless of who it is, I feel like I've really done a great job. So those responses, I think there was one response where I think, which was monumental, was the response near the end when we had just come back from a long break, and we had everybody kind of just re-energized. Like usually whenever you have a long break between sets, most people are like, oh, I'm not so interested in, dancing again. They could go into the indoor rave. But the fact that they just came right back outside and started filling up the place, it was just like, this is amazing. This is absolutely great. And it's just hearing that response it's a really good feeling. It's a really good feeling.
Yeah, like anytime I play a show, I'm always wary of the crowd. I'm always watching the crowd to see what they're doing, and honestly, the crowd plays just as much a role in a DJ show or DJ event as the DJ does. If the DJ is doing terribly, then the people aren't doing they're not really up, jumping around, moving, and then both sets, like both parties, have an time. If the DJ is doing well and the crowd hears it, and the crowd's really loving it, and they're going completely bonkers and completely crazy, you feed off of that energy. It's sort of a synergy there, and you feed off of each other. And by the end of the whole AZ outside rave, I literally could not breathe. I was moving that much. I was just going that crazy. And I have nothing but appreciation and love for everybody that was out there, and it was awesome, and it just felt amazing.
That's good. I mean, there's nothing better than seeing your fans and the people who listen to you just happy. Just happy that you're playing, happy that you're there, just, making them happy.
Absolutely.
All right. When you guys take us through the process, because I know backstage and before you play, there has to be some sort of long preparation process and getting it set up and all that.
Oh yeah, that. I'm pretty sure Mark probably has a great one for that one.
Well, what sort of setup are you talking about, as far as music or getting the gear set up?
Actually, both. The whole preparation process before you actually perform.
All right. So the whole prep process is, well, for me, I probably spent about a week and a half going through all of the music I have, sorting it out by, genre and what sort of sound the song had, and just so I could create a better flow of songs, so you're not really mixing a really heavy tune into a really soft one, and then there's that sort of clash in sounds. So you sort of pair them up by how they sound and what genre they're in, and that took about a week and a half or so, just going through all of my music, making sure I had X amount of music. Honestly, we didn't know that they were going to turn the power off at 11, so I had enough music to sit there and play for about 3 or 4 hours. So you figure 3.5, 4 minutes per song for about 4 hours. That's a lot of music, and you always want to be prepared for anything. So if, let's say, either Brendan or CJ's flash drives stopped working, I would have been able to fill in. And you kind of want to have that just as a backup plan, and doing that and making sure you're ready for that just takes time. As far as gear, honestly, gear was just getting our hands on it. We did rent the CDJs, borrowed the mixer, borrowed the subs, or borrowed the one sub that we had. The speakers were mine. So, I mean, it was just a matter of getting our hands on everything. That really didn't take a whole lot of time. That we did in a matter of maybe a day and a half or so, all spread out, just gathering everything together. And, I mean, setup time and prep is, it took me maybe, Brendan, how long did it take me? Maybe 5-10 minutes?
Yeah, it was about 5 to 10 minutes for you to set that up.
And honestly, it was just a matter of I've set stuff up really quickly before. I've had to break things down really quickly. Every once in a while, I play a show where I bring my own gear, and right at the end of my set, the next DJ has his own gear that he needs to get set up. So it's a matter of while you're trying to play that last song, you're unhooking things and you're unplugging things and shifting things around, all while you're trying to DJ and pay attention to your music. And I mean, so like total prep time, I'd say maybe about a week and a half, 2 weeks, just to make sure that you have all the music that you need, you've worked with everything. Like you can't go into something like that with 100 or 200 tracks that you've never played out before. You have to make sure that you've worked with everything and that you're comfortable with all the music that you do have before you decide to go try to play that music for people.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
All right.
it's exactly as Mark said. Oh, sorry.
I'm just going to interrupt real quick, just to do shout-outs real quick to some Facebook pages that shared our show. Love Your Cosplay's Body. Xbox... sorry. My phone is slow sometimes.
I know the feeling.
Yeah. Xbox 360, Balls, Players Only, The Rabbit Hole, The Nerd's Goddess, Cosplay, Anime, and Gaming, Elite Skilled Gamers, The Wander, I Love Video Games, Intergalactic Geek Alliance, Geek Club, The Bat Cave, Avengers Mansion by the Intergalactic Geek Alliance, Games in Life, Gamers of the World, 360 BAWs. I think I said that one already.
Honey,
Yes.
the first one was the page, and the second one is the group, so you should say them both.
Okay. Xbox 360 BAWs S Players Group. X Chicks Who Play Video Games Are Sexier. Backstage Pass X. Gamers Geekery. And Splash Page. Those are all the people that shared our shows on their Facebook pages, and we would like to thank you.
And there's one more that I didn't have time to give to you, and that's iFlashbangs.
Those guys, too.
And Lady Clan for Life is one of our sponsors, well, supporters, and Transpire Magazine is one of our biggest supporters, along with Real Women of Call of Duty, the DKD plan.
All right, yeah. Those are all the people that share us, our sponsors, and again, we thank you. All right.
Absolutely. Thank you too.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Awesome sponsors.
Absolutely.
All right, now someone was saying something.
Oh yeah, it was. I think the question was prep time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What I was going to say was, as far as looking from my angle, any sort of position or gig just kind of comes down to, and exactly as Mark said, having to really figure out what you're going to kind of give out, and a lot of I guess DJs out there will go out with a little bit of planning a bit, but not, of course, planning the whole set, but really just trying to come in with what they plan to play out a bit. And from my angle, usually whenever I set up a gig or about to go to a gig, I kind of play a little bit or mess around with all the songs that I currently have and mix back and forth, try a couple things, and really when it comes down to actually being able to mix and set up with multiple people as we did with AZ, you really kind of have to be conscious of what the last guy came through with, just because if you do go out there and, as Mark said, you have a hard, very heavy sounding track, I don't know, maybe like just a very dubstep-ish type of track, and the other person's using, let's say, some sort of liquid type of, or deep house or something, it's not going to be a really pretty mix. And plus doing that at the same time is kind of, or at the same time as setting up your next set, is kind of like passing the controller midway through an intense online game of, I would say, maybe like saying passing your controller midway through like Call of Duty and trying to save your friend. Brennan knows. I've done that a couple times. Brennan's a beast, mind you. But it's very difficult, and it takes a little bit of practice, a lot of know-how, a little bit, correction, reverse that, a lot of practice. Yeah, a lot of practice to be able to get down, but once you have it, you can really make some really nice sounding sets. And especially for AZ, as what we did with that, there was a good ton of preparation considered to really make sure that they were having a great time.
All right. I mean, I heard you mention Call of Duty, so which leads me to a question. I'm pretty sure you all play video games, right? What's your favorite?
Call of Duty? Oh, jeez.
I guess I'll let them go first because
okay,
I'm
Brennan.
excited about this.
Your moment.
Yeah, all right. So when I was 14, I actually was in the competitive scene in Call of Duty. So I've been playing competitive for about a good 3 to 4 years now. I kind of stopped because I have another hobby, which is DJing. But yeah, I guess you could say my favorite game would be Call of Duty, even though I have some frustrating times with it.
Oh, yes, we all do, of course.
Oh, which one? It'll be Call of Duty 4. But I have frustrating times with Call of Duty, but it's still one of my favorite games of all time.
And I'll just go and, be the guy who just says, when I picked up Call of Duty, I picked it up and Call of Duty 4 and whatever. I'm kind of like trying to get to Brennan's level. Brennan's like incredible with it. So, but I play. I'm huge into Modern Warfare 2. But as far as the full Call of Duty series, I'm like half and half. Like I think my KD was somewhere around like what? Last time I checked, point 17. So, or not point 17, point 117. Wow, I'm not that bad. But I would say, yeah, I play from time to time. I hate to admit it. It's kind of like the skeleton in the closet for me. I mean, not many gamers from my kind of step want to yell out, yeah, I play Call of Duty. It's kind of like, play Battlefield, bro. Play a real man's game. It's like, well, come on.
Stop it.
My perspective, just for just put on note, Call of Duty is, and people may hate me for saying this, but Call of Duty is the Counter-Strike of the new era. Because back in the day, Counter-Strike was played by everybody. And that was like the huge, if you got FPS skill, you play Counter-Strike. So now Call of Duty has renewed a new form of FPS. So, yeah, that's just from my end.
Mark, would you like to go? Go ahead, man.
Okay, so I mean, I like Call of Duty. I do. I really enjoy first-person shooters. It's probably not highest on my favorite games list. I'm a big Gears of War fan. I like the. I don't know. I guess I just like the point of view of third person. That being said, not Modern Warfare. Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare is absolutely amazing.
Oh yeah, hands down.
Other than the console games though, I've been really grinding a lot on Diablo 3 and the expansion. I don't know. I just feel like I can waste a lot more time doing that and not get super frustrated and want to throw my console out the window when Brendan decides to join the game and he's on the other team. I mean, like I have a lot of fun playing a lot of different types of games. I probably wouldn't be able to say I've got one favorite, but I've played a lot since NES. and can't really pinpoint a favorite, really.
Yeah, I know how you feel. I mean, I have a favorite, but I feel kind of out of place. You guys are playing all these hardcore, like Diablo and Call of Duty, rated M games, and I'm just sitting back here having Pokemon as my favorite.
No, there is nothing wrong with Pokemon. There is nothing, dude. I'll be honest. I still play. I still play Pokemon more than I play most of like the other hardcore games. I'm probably one of the more deeper gamers. I'm one of those guys who you see on Twitch calling people casuals. So yeah, I think, and I'm pretty sure there was the announcement for the next Pokemon coming out at the recent E3.
Yeah, can't wait for those.
It's like a Mega. I think it was the Mega series.
Omega Ruby, Sapphire, the game's coming out.
Yeah, it was like the Hoenn series.
Yeah. All right. How about your least favorite games, guys? Games you just can't stand playing.
Call of Duty. No, just kidding.
Just give it.
All right, Brennan.
Okay. So, my least favorite game would be probably. I like it, but I can't stand it at the same time. I would say it would be Dark Souls. I love it. It's a great game, but just
No, it's not. Stop it.
it's a good game, okay? But just it hurts my feelings when I just can't get past this boss. Fog is ridiculous. I can't get past him.
If I can get real for 1 second, I can get real for 1 second about Dark Souls. So they just, on the 1st of this month, they put up the first Dark Souls for free with gold on Xbox Live. Downloaded it, and I'm unable, with my skill set, just my skill set, not my characters, like out of game, my skill set, I am unable to get out of the first dungeon.
Oh no!
I absolutely loathe that game.
It's hard, but yeah, that would be for me. All right, TJ, you can take this.
Okay, because they've obviously passed these games that I would still say, you know, Dark Souls isn't too bad of a series.
Don't look at me, look somewhere else.
But no, least favorite game. Wow. Jeez, I played way too many games in my life. You're making me recollect. I notice how old I've gotten. You know, I'm going to have to say, and I'm sorry for all the fans out there who are so adamant about this game.
Is it Skyrim?
Yeah, but I would say World of Warcraft, you know. The only reason why, and I have my long explanation before people throw me to the fire here, and I'll keep it short. I've been playing MMOs since Star Wars Galaxy, and that was like my favorite sort of MMO of all time. And when WoW popped up on the scene, it was kind of like, oh, geez, this is like the best game ever. So I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll try it out. And I played it, and then, mind you, the time I played it was Wrath of the Lich King. So by Wrath of the Lich King, everybody had already figured out the Da Vinci Code and getting to level 50s without really trying. So I'm this new guy who just starts it out thinking, oh, well, if everybody can get to level 50 in a week, then I can do it too. Turns out that you know, there's a skill set of players in the MMO world that have been playing MMOs quite longer than I have. Mind you, I played MMOs that were like free at the time because I was darn broke. So Ragnarok Online was my best friend, and so was RuneScape. So yeah, I know I'm looking at that, but I know. But after which I played WoW, found that it was just like, okay, it's get gear, PvP, and that's about it. Kind of made me feel a bit bad. So I felt kind of shortcutted on that, and literally all the hype around it is almost just, to me, overblown. And I'm pretty sure there's plenty of MMO players out there now who are going to say, yeah, I agree with you, why? WoW is so overhyped. There's, you know, Rift or Final Fantasy XIV or WildStar, which is just WoW in a different skin. But Yeah.
All right. Before the next person answers, we have a correction in one of the page names that shared our page. And I do apologize for the mistake, but it's I flashbanged your BF. Again, I'm sorry for the mistake, but you guys are still great, just like the rest of the pages. All right. So who's next? With the least favorite video game?
Okay, so you guys have touched on like the more mainstream ones. I'll go ahead and point out a couple. Well, one of the mainstream ones that I'm absolutely furious with right now, and I'm in the same boat as CJ. A lot of people are probably gonna hate me, but Ocarina of Time for 60.
Oh no! Shut off the radio.
Oh, if I can just explain my frustration with this game, I have made it to the second set of temples, and I was doing pretty good with this whole save points and saving the game, and then I get to the water temple.
Oh, come on.
I don't want to hear it, sir. So I get to the water temple, and I'm almost done, like almost at the boss, almost ready to I've got my girlfriend who's beat it like 4 times. She's over my shoulder, guiding me, telling me do this, do that, roll, dodge out of the way, pull out your slingshot. So I'm following everything, and then the game freezes.
I take back every good thing I've said.
Now keep in mind, I am playing this on a Wii with the GameCube capability, so it was a first-gen Wii. There's really no way to restart and pick up right from where you were. So I've officially claimed that I'm never taking boots on and off that many times ever again. I'm probably never going to finish Ocarina of Time. As far as least favorite games that I own, it's going to kind of be a long shot, but Monopoly for 360.
Oh.
that.
If I could point out how absolutely rude and terrible Player 3 is, if you're tired, it's kind of ridiculous. He will trade and sell with absolutely everyone and take up 3 sides of the board, and then you're just done.
He will take your cookies.
He will. All of them.
All of them.
Build hotels out of them.
All right. I think I should mention mine because I did mention my most favorite, and I'm probably going to get hated a lot more than you guys are going to get hated because I remember the hype around this game when it came out and everything, and people were just judging everyone who hated it, and I still dislike it to this day. Elder Scrolls Skyrim.
Yes, I hear you. I'm with you.
I will give it. It has a great soundtrack, but I just cannot stand that game.
It's can't.
Too long. It's just no.
I am with you 100%. When Skyrim came out, I enjoyed it for the first, and then I was like, okay, you've given there's a point where you give me too much. Now that I'm just repeating the same thing.
Yes, exactly.
You are not alone.
Yay, followers.
Yeah, I'll back you up on that one, and I'll also add that probably one of the best games Bethesda's ever put out is probably Rage.
Oh yes, that one I do enjoy.
Rage was so far from the norm of Elder Scrolls, but had the same type of gameplay, but they really limited it to about 6-7 hours, and it was absolutely awesome.
It was. I need to beat it, but I mean it's still awesome as much as I played.
Yeah.
All right, since we were just talking about negative criticism, how do you guys handle negative criticism?
Constructively.
Constructively?
Always constructively.
Oh yeah.
In this scene, if you can't take criticism and build it and build from it, then you're just going to have a really hard time in the scene. Trying to get fans and keep fans and try to get booked. If somebody has some honest opinion and some insight for you, and it's not exactly what you want to hear, it's fine if it's not what you want to hear, but don't take it and don't hold a grudge. Take it and turn it around and make it a positive. If somebody says, "Hey man, your transitions are a little sloppy," you don't try to defend it. I mean, you can probably right off the bat go, "Well, this and this, and it really didn't." But that's honestly just making excuses. If you can't take negative criticism and build from it, and somebody tell you, "Hey man, you're getting sloppy," or "Hey man, you're late for this gig, get your act together," and build from it and not show up 5 minutes late for a gig, or go home and practice and just keep practicing with those songs that you're having a hard time with, you're just not going to make it at all.
Yeah, that's huge. And speaking from all my friends who talk to me, I'm probably the guy who I give myself negative criticism before I even have done anything. But that's just my nature. It's one of those things that if you are given negative criticism, as Mark said, you just got to be able to turn it around to yourself. You got to take it as constructive criticism. Sometimes people will say, "Ah, geez, that's not good. That right there sounded like crap." And I mean, honestly, as a producer, you get it a lot more times than you think, and sometimes even silently, which is not one of the best feelings, especially when you've worked weeks on like a track, and then somebody listens to it, and the first thing they say is, "Oh, geez, man, you should compress this," or "Oh, man, this is just like loud as heck. I don't like that," or "Oh, hey, you like the electronic music? Ugh, why don't you make something different?" And if you let it get to you, especially being in something where you're being creative, it's just going to make you feel, and I guess, for lack of a better word, really bad. But in truth, if you can learn from it and find the pieces within the comment that's bad, you'll usually get much better. You find well, yeah, your transitions are bad. Okay, well, I'll practice my transitions. Or, hey, your mix is sounding horrible. You're redlining. Oh, well, I'll learn to turn down next time. So even though you don't really turn down. But yeah, that. And Brennan?
Okay. Well, if I could say it any other better way than Mark said it, I would. But I mean, he nailed it right on the head. If you can't take criticism in this scene, then you're not gonna go anywhere. So honestly, I can say that I practice almost every single day, and I actually have a friend that actually listens to me while I actually practice. I practice for at least, not you, CJ. It's another person. I can't say who it is though. So they listen to me at least every night, and I say, "Hey, how is this?" And they tell me, they give me constructive criticism back, because I mean, there's no other way I can get better unless I have someone else with me, or saying, "Hey, you could work on this." When I hear something like that, I'm like, okay, sure, I can do that. So I take like negative criticism as constructive, just like Mark and CJ do.
I know exactly how you guys feel. That's what I do with all my writings. But like I heard one of you guys say that you give yourself negative criticism. What happens if you're ever unhappy with your own work? How do you deal with that?
Geez. Mark, do you want to go? I mean, I could do this one in a heartbeat.
I mean, yeah, I can start. I mean, if I get done with a set and it's happened almost every set I've ever played, and a lot of the time the crowd can't hear it and can't hear certain things that the DJ can, but when your ears start to get fine-tuned to that stuff, you start hearing little things, and then at the end of your set you're like, man, those transitions, or that one transition, just I should have done this and I should have done that. And honestly, as far as an immediate turnaround, there's really nothing you can do. You can't go back and replay your hour set because somebody else has to play. But you just hold on to that and you build from that. You notice what you did wrong, or what you think you did wrong, and the next time you practice, you work on that exact thing that you pointed out in your set, and you push past it, and you get it to the point where it sounds good, and you move on to working on something else. Whether it be something that, something else that you picked out from your set that you weren't happy with, or something that somebody else called out and said, hey man, maybe you shouldn't do this with songs, or exactly what I was telling you about the whole negative criticism. It could be anything that anybody says about your set. From mixing and transitions to EQ swapping to phrasing in the song to keeping your head down the entire time during your set, and you work on those things as you're practicing, so that on your next gig you've touched on everything, and hopefully you do better. But usually the next time you play, you're going to find something else, and then it's always a battle for betterment, I guess.
Very true. Very true. Yes, especially, and sorry to interrupt, I wasn't sure if you were finished there, but from where I come from, like I said before, I really am one of those people who are just hard on myself naturally. I honestly, if I've texted Mark multiple times, just letting him know how nervous I am for this one gig I got coming up, which is kind of funny because we were about to head there as well. But when it comes down to being really kind of hard on myself, I find that really is where I kind of shine a bit more, because it kind of gives me that mindset that I'm not complacent with where I'm at. I'm never really, of course I can make a track on Ableton and then think, oh wow, it sounds so great and so awesome, but then I hear some of my favorite artists type of track, and I tell myself, if I'm not doing what he's doing, or is making an effect or having a pronounced level that he is making, then what I'm making right now is just kiddie level. This is not even on the radar, especially as far as when I'm DJing, when I watch Mark and I watch Brennan, and then I watch the one of the more other DJs that are around me. I get that same feeling of, geez, I'm not even on their radar by most views. Of course, they can tell me otherwise, but from where I stand and what I see, it feels like I should be doing so much better. But I say that's just a natural thing that as humans, we kind of put that in front of ourselves so we can at least strive for something, because as soon as you become complacent with what you're capable of doing, you will pretty much not want to expand any further if you feel good or you feel capable. It's kind of like if you were to play any sort of game, I would say, for me, like for Legend of Zelda, and sorry, Mark, the references, but I could play Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time and know how to run through the water temple really simply. But then I'd give myself that challenge of, hey, I want to run through it without getting any hearts. I just want the 3-heart challenge. Oh, well, to do that, it takes practice, and it takes a lot of work, and I get frustrated, and I say I can't do it like the other guys. But the plus side about it is it helps me get better. Even though it's just a game, it helps me get better. It makes me feel a little bit better about myself. But yeah, I think Brennan felt the same as far as,
Yeah, I feel the exact way that Mark feels and CJ feels. The way how I do it is that, let's say if I finish playing a set, like I would definitely just be like, okay, I would ask people like, hey, how was it? And they were like, it was good. And I'm like, oh, well, that's not good. And they're like, wait, no, you did fine. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm looking for. I want them to come tell me that it was good. I'd rather them come to me than me coming to them and asking them. And that's the way that I could definitely just build myself, like, in my mind, like, hey, I know I can do better. If someone comes up to me and says it, then I know I'm getting better and better and better at it. So I just usually humble myself down on it.
All right, that's awesome. Like Lady Rage was telling us about the girl who was just having her hands on her face, just smiling at you guys. That makes me feel like you guys are an inspiration to some people, and which gives me the question: do you guys have an inspiration on to why you started to do DJ and all that music?
So, with Brendan being the butt of all of these questions and him being last on most of them, I'm actually gonna turn it over to Brendan and let him answer first. Just trying to be fair.
Yeah.
Why, thank you, Mark. My inspiration, the people that inspire me, would be, it'll be one of the top artists like Daft Punk and deadmau5, but also the local people that I know, like the Noisy Crew, Mark and CJ. They inspire me every single day to do this day in and day out, just practicing my butt off, trying to get to where I want to be. So, CJ, after you.
Yeah. See, that response of having, that sort of reaction from the crowd is literally what, it's kind of like the fuel, because as Brennan said, I really do take a view of what I won't say idols, but people that I really look up to, like, and mind you, I'm only going to say his name once. Go ahead, hit it. Bass Nectar. I'm a huge, mind you, I'm a huge fan. I'm not going to go nerd out on you guys. But seeing the response from his crowds and all that, and seeing responses from other big name artists, and seeing how people, put up the hearts and they cry or whatever, that to me is really what gives me the fuel to say, you know what, if anything, I'm making them feel something. If it's, just general complacency where they'll just walk over and get a beer and then that's about it, and that's fine with me. But if it's something that, is more deep, more emotional, that right there becomes a strong driving factor for me to get a little bit more oomph to really, respond back. And it lets me know at the end of the night, hey, they had a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm hoping you were done and I'm not interrupting you.
Oh, I'm done. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. What both of them said, a lot of it comes from the people that are immediately around you. Inspiration's a weird thing. A lot of people get it from weird places. Some people get it from, their past. Some people have, struggled, had. Everybody's got their own life. Everybody's got their own story, and different things inspire everyone. Having a large group of friends now that I'm doing this, I consider them my family. The Noisy Dubs crew. They've beyond pushed me to keep bettering myself. Every opportunity they get, they're like, "Hey man, come over, spin some tunes with us. Just come hang out. Come do this, come do that." They're an absolute inspiration for me, and a lot of those guys. I want to say there's probably a good 4 or 5 guys on the crew that have been DJing, 10, 15 plus years, and watching them do what they do just pushes me, and then they push me. Just talking to them about, hey, how do you do this? And it's not even so much as just narrowing it down to the people that do this with me, like CJ and Brendan. Both of them, me having taught them how to do what they're doing now, I mean, that's an inspiration to me, because they keep coming to me, and if they get to the point where they're answering questions before I am, then I'm not bettering myself. And if I stop getting better, then I'm not going to be able to answer their questions. And it also comes down to fans. Fans, when you look out and you see a crowd just like AZ, they're just going you know, completely crazy and just raging out and having a good time, that's also an inspiration. You're seeing that you're, you know, giving people what you want to give them, which is just a good time. You're giving them an outlet to forget about whatever it is that's going on immediately and just have fun. And a lot of why I do this is just I want to have fun. I want other people to have fun with me.
I see. That's great. I'm just gonna ask just a couple more questions. It won't be that much. You guys seem like great people, and you are great people. You don't seem like it. Let me correct myself. But I see Brendan right here has a photo. Is that your wife?
No. That's a very old. That's a very old picture of mine. It was I took that about a couple of years ago. It was just that when I was wearing a tuxedo, and I was like, oh, okay, I like it, so I'm just gonna put it up there.
Good question.
But that was good. But that was a good question though.
It leads me to my next question. Are any of you married, or are you guys just dating?
Me? No.
Give me this. Give me this. Let me talk to you about this wonderful woman, and I hope she's. Okay. No. Okay, but no, I'm not married. But currently, I do have my girlfriend, which I love deeply. AJ, if you're out there listening, I'm not sure if you are. I hope you are. Love you very much. You mean the world to me.
Oh, that's.
And I'm not going to go too long because if I did, you wouldn't have enough radio time. And we got stuff, so.
All right.
All right.
How about you, Mark?
So I've been with an amazing girl for the past 2 years. When I said something about Ocarina of Time, she had to hold back from throwing something at me. So yeah, she's in the room, and she's awesome, and she keeps pushing me to do everything, but she's just absolutely amazing, and she's always at all my shows. But yeah, to answer your question, I guess a little more bluntly, yes, I am dating.
Nice, straightforward answer. Yeah, I know how you feel. My girl wanted to watch this, but there was issues with her computer, so she's not watching, sadly.
Oh.
But how do your girlfriends, except for Brendan, how do your girlfriends react?
Bring it over here.
How do your girlfriends react to your DJ?
Ah, jeez.
That at every gig.
It's like when I first started even like doing it and practicing and getting serious with it, it just been probably the one who's in there listening the most. So she likes it, I would definitely say, but I can tell at times there's these moments where it's just okay, he's doing it a lot, but otherwise it's never been so serious. She's very fully supportive.
Yeah, and Kate, my girlfriend, has, she's been to all but, I think, 2 of my sets, and those were all work-related. She wasn't able to make it, but I don't want to talk bad because I can't talk badly about her. But I know I guess the stereotype of a DJ is that, they've got a lot of fans and they need to have somebody keep them on a leash so that they don't do anything if they've got a girlfriend. And some DJs, I mean, yeah, when you get to, mainstream and you're making, $1 million a show to play, that I can get. Me, I'm not really too worried about it. She's always there just having a good time, keeps pushing me. Even if there's, if I'm playing an opening slot, which I still do every once in a while, and there's nobody in the club, she's out there on the floor just dancing her heart out. And she's super supportive and awesome. And, I mean, she loves it. I'm actually, in the next couple of weeks or so, going to start showing her how to beat match and pick some songs and start learning how to mix a little bit.
Gotta say, AJ. Yeah, to be honest, Kate is epic, and I just want you to know that. Everybody out there,
I love you.
we love you too, Kate. Everybody, big shout outs to Kate. Everybody.
All right. Oh, let's end this on a great note with Kate being our special guest of the evening.
Yeah.
You guys have been a blast to have on the show. You guys are amazing. I'm glad I got to meet you guys. And thank you to our viewers who were watching the show as it was going on. You guys are also just amazing. We love you all. But we got to sign off now. So, everyone, let's say a goodbye to all our viewers.
Absolutely. Is there any way I could make a couple of shout-outs to some people?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, cool. First off, shout out to the Noisy Dubs crew in Raleigh, if any of them are listening. Another one to Robin of Bass Bunny Productions, who runs a weekly Tuesday nights at Spy in Raleigh. DJ 40 Ounce, who runs a weekly at Rum Runners. I'm not sure who owns the venues around Raleigh, but places like Southland, Havoc, some other places on I forget the name of the street in Raleigh, on Glenwood Avenue. All the venue owners, just a huge appreciative shout out. Without you guys and the fans and everybody that was at Animazement, if you're listening, without fans and a crowd, we're just a guy playing music.
Yeah, yep. I guess I'll give my shout-outs up. Let's see, shout out to Animazement first off, because literally that I've been going to your con for years. I'm a huge fan of it. Shout out to Gamer Geek Radio. Without you, this has been probably the most fun I've had. Thank you, Lady Rage, for having us on your show. Really do appreciate it. Shout outs to definitely the Noisy Dubs and Noisy Drums and all of the Noisy organization, because honestly, I'm a huge fan. Shout outs to BN, just because. And of course, shout out to Militia, even though he's right here. Love you, man. I know you're looking over me right now. Thank you. Shout outs to Catbug, because drop it. Shout outs to Legend of Zelda and Nintendo, because you'd always be a fan. You guys killed it this E3. And shout outs to all the fans, literally, if I have any. But shout outs to every single one of you, because honestly, you guys make everything about me, and I've never really had fans, so it feels incredible to actually have some who care. Shout outs to you, because literally you make everything. I love you. Don't take that too far. But yeah. And Brendan, do you have anything?
Mine's gonna be pretty short, but I mean it's pretty much the same thing. Shout outs to my Noisy family up in Raleigh. Shout out all the people at Animazement, staff, like just everybody there. We love you guys. Shout outs to Militia, of course. Whoop. Shout outs to Catbug also. Shout outs to let's see. Shout out to my friend Christy. Hey. And that's about it. And my fans, I love you. I love you. I wouldn't be here without you guys.
All right, that's a sweet note to end on. Again, thank you for being on the show, and thank you for everyone who watched. And thank you to Lady Reed for letting me co-host this. Thank you.
You're welcome, and I just want to say thank you guys for coming on the show. I enjoyed you at Animazement, and I enjoyed having you on the show.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, it was our pleasure.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.